Hello and welcome back. My name is Jack B. And as always, thank you for viewing my video. I see Rootin' Tootin' Putin is up to his nonsense again. Two recent antics caught my attention. The first was the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk announcing the fact that Russian spies blew up the rail line in Poland that provides aid supplies to Ukraine. That line also moves passengers. The second antic was Putin's TV announcement that he will not stop bombing Ukraine until he gets all disputed territory. I wonder if the words were carefully chosen not just for Ukraine, but for all former Soviet countries. He also stated Trump's 28-point peace plan was a good start for discussion after Ukraine surrenders. Putin's recent announcement on TV clearly shows he has not changed his mind in over 20 years on the topic of regaining control over former Soviet countries. In 2005, Putin called the Soviet Union's collapse the greatest geopolitical catastrophe ever. I believe the United States and NATO should be putting up a steel wall against Putin's aggression. Putin and his minions must be laughing at Trump and America while having vodka shots at their happy hour on Fridays. Putin has manipulated Trump at every encounter. Putin is a war criminal with an outstanding arrest warrant. Why is Trump entertaining, acknowledging, and speaking well of Putin? The only thing that will stop Putin is active support from NATO, with NATO troops on the ground in Ukraine, and the United States support with long-range munitions, and unyielding solidarity in support for Ukraine. Putin is enjoying various support from his pals, such as Iranian drones, North Korean troops, and China's technology and finance. He is bluffing, but he will keep pushing, killing, and taking ground until an opposing power stops him. He may threaten and bluster, but he won't carry through if he meets steel opposition. Putin is a very skilled negotiator. Trump's administration is continually kowtowing to him. They must be either afraid of him or he has something on Trump. Putin has played in the political world and on the global stage almost all his career. He began his career in 1975 serving as an intelligence officer in the KGB, the Committee for State Security of the Soviet Union. In the 1990s, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, he entered politics in his native city of St. Petersburg. He moved to Moscow in 1996 and held several positions within the Presidential Executive Office before being appointed director of the FSB, the successor agency to the KGB, in July 1998. Putin served briefly as Prime Minister in 1999 before becoming acting president on December 31, 1999. He was formally elected president in March 2000 and served two consecutive four-year terms, 2000 to 2008. From 2008 to 2012, he served as Prime Minister due to a constitutional limit of two consecutive terms for the presidency. He returned to the presidency in 2012 for 6 years because their constitution was changed to allow a new term length. The Russian constitution has been changed several times to allow Putin to stay in power. Throughout his time in power, Putin has centralized authority, tightened state control over the media and economy, and pursued an aggressive foreign policy. These are the core actions of an autocrat. Do these actions sound familiar? Putin has remained steadfast in his determination to reunify the former Soviet Union. He continues to make moves to regain control, and we just watch his reality show. In 2008, Russia's invasion of Georgia was seen as a move to reassert Russian influence in a former Soviet state. Estonia's foreign minister stated, "This is the start of Putin's plan to regain lost colonies." In 2014, Russia's annexation of Crimea and instigation of pro-Kremlin uprisings in eastern Ukraine's Donbas region following the Euromaidan Revolution are considered key milestones in Putin's efforts to regain control of Ukraine. From 2014 to 2022, Putin exerted geopolitical pressure and waged hybrid warfare to achieve complete control over Ukraine. In 2022, Putin launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. During Putin's time as the leader of the Communist Party, he has engaged in extensive offensive cyber operations against Ukraine and NATO member states. Russian agents have been accused of carrying out physical attacks, arson, and sabotage. They target critical infrastructure and businesses, such as warehouses storing aid for Ukraine, in Europe. Russia is also engaged in massive campaigns of disinformation, propaganda, and information manipulation to justify its actions all over the globe and destabilize opponents. Russia has been accused of using agents of influence and supporting foreign political parties to pursue its national security objectives and weaken Western alliances. In 2023, Finland accused Russia of weaponizing illegal immigrants to pressure its border, leading Finland to close its border with Russia. Putin is also behind his shadow oil tanker fleet, dragging anchors on the sea floor of the Gulf of Finland and the Baltic Sea to rip up communication and power cables, disrupting life in Finland, Estonia, Lithuania, Sweden, and Germany. Putin's aggression in Ukraine has brought devastation and suffering to the civilian population, with continuous nightly bombings of houses, apartments, schools, and hospitals. Putin's most heinous crime and odious action is the kidnapping of Ukrainian children, taking them to Russia and grooming them. Trump's lack of cooperation with Ukraine is making him complicit with Putin's nefarious actions. Ukraine's Children of War platform and other sources have documented at least 19,546 cases of confirmed abductions. The Yale Humanitarian Research Lab, HRL, places the number closer to 35,000 based on their analysis. Reports from organizations like the Yale HRL indicate a systematic program involving re-education camps, forced adoptions, name changes, and the imposition of Russian citizenship to erase Ukrainian identity. This has been described as part of a potential act of genocide. As of mid-2025, only approximately 1,236 to 1,266 children have been returned to Ukraine. The International Criminal Court, ICC, issued arrest warrants in March 2023 for Russian President Vladimir Putin and Maria Lvova-Belova for the war crime of unlawful deportation and transfer of population, specifically children. In my opinion, NATO and the United States should hit Putin with his own hammer. He will not stop until he is forcibly repelled. Again, Putin's demands are ludicrous, but maybe he feels he can obtain them based upon the lack of opposition he has received. He does not want Ukraine to join NATO. He does not want NATO troops on the ground in Ukraine. He wants to determine the size of Ukraine's military. But there is no mention of the nearly 20,000 Ukrainian children kidnapped and taken to Russia. Some people say the war in Ukraine has nothing to do with us, but I believe it does. It's just not Putin, it's the CCP, North Korea, and Iran we need to keep an eye on. They are all allies and have openly agreed upon and celebrated their New World Order. The CCP is playing a strategic long game. They, along with their allies, are adept at using subterfuge, economic and technical elements to challenge and overcome free societies around the world. Well, these are my thoughts for today. And again, whether you agree or disagree, please verify the information presented. Thank you. And until next time, take care and be safe. Ooh.